Hi there. I'm sure you would have seen the videos of Facebook changing the name to Meta. Maybe you would have seen the NFTs being sold for billions of dollars, which apparently will become $0 in the next few months. But hey, I love those videos, but what I don't like about them is no one's talking about the problem that comes with Metaverse. As someone who's been working as a cybersecurity professional for over 10 years, helping companies save themselves from hackers and be safe online, I wanted to share the problems that I'm noticing, and I will leave the timestamps at the bottom so you can click on them and go directly to them. But let's get into the video. Now, you may be wondering, the very first question on your mind would be, is Metaverse safe? I would probably say, with the evidence so far, well, we're not even in the Metaverse yet, but because there's no history, I would probably say the safer option is to assume the answer is no.
The answer is no.
Do not enter the Metaverse as the first person. The first problem that I have identified in the Metaverse is control over our identity. Now, technically, you can choose on social media platform whether you have a public profile, private profile, or you want to be remaining anonymous, where you browse the internet incognito mode without a worry about people knowing what you are, or maybe even a Tor network. But the reality of it is, it depends on the person who is providing you the hardware. Now, at the moment, it's things like Oculus or other AR, VR devices that give you access to Metaverse. And these providers can choose how much information you need to share to have yourself be available or at least use Metaverse, which is quite scary because no one is even talking about the fact that we would want to control our identity. I sometimes may not want to share the fact that I love men's fashion. I just don't want to share it. But I may not get the option because the ownership of my Metaverse identity is owned by, I don't know, Facebook, Microsoft, or whoever controls the entry into the Metaverse. This leads me to the other point. Say, for example, I go into the Metaverse and I do a bunch of really bad things and I want to delete my avatar. Can I take my avatar and teach myself something really amazing? Now, talking about education, it's funny, when you're driving on the road, it normally shows you, hey, 60 miles per hour or 60 kilometers per hour, depending on what country you're in, there's a speed limit. And hey, there's a sharp turn coming in. But you realize there are no signs like these on the internet. The browsers, the Googles of the world try and do that. But there are no safety signs like that for you or your family anywhere on the internet. Guess what's going to happen in the Metaverse? If we haven't figured that out for internet yet, it's only hard to imagine that we would ever figure that out for Metaverse in our lifetime. But I hope they do. That was the first problem that I want to talk about as an individual. Now, the second problem that I want to talk about is as a business in the Metaverse. It's an amazing feeling to have a business on the internet. We have a podcast, Cloud Security Podcast, with no physical address. We are all on the internet. It's amazing, right? We don't have to worry about brick and mortar. In the Metaverse, there would be opportunities similarly created where people would have businesses just simply running on the Metaverse, which would be amazing. They would be able to use the native features of the Metaverse. Like on Instagram, you have the shopping feature. On Facebook, you have your marketplace. Similarly, you could have a similar option in the Metaverse. You could be selling, I don't know, like really amazing suits and dresses in an amazing shop, which looks like Gucci, but is not really Gucci on the Metaverse. But what you don't realize is because it's the Metaverse, currency that we're dealing with is cryptocurrency, which is your Bitcoins or Ethereums. How do you know if that money has been used for criminal activity? And unknowingly, because there is no history apart from the public ledger, there is no history for that information being used for any particular transaction before that, you don't even know you may be supporting a terrorist or maybe even worse, a criminal who's probably into human trafficking or something even much worse than that. And I personally would not feel comfortable about the idea. What you realize is, as a business, your ethics definitely would come into question as a problem in the Metaverse. Now, if you are a business which is already on the internet or probably a brick and mortar and are being forced into the Metaverse because Amazon, Google, Facebook, everyone's trying to be there. Facebook and Microsoft have had a jump start and you already have a Microsoft account. Say, oh, I'm just going to start a Metaverse account as well. You don't know what you may be coming up to, because what you might realize is a lot of the challenges that you have as a business owner is you don't want your private data to be made public. But if it's going through entry points, which are trusted entry points like the Microsoft of the world or the Facebook of the world, would you really trust that your company's sensitive data is not being collected by the Facebook or the Googles of the world, who are apparently decentralized?
What?
Your entry point into the Metaverse. I'm sure you already would have seen that a lot of virtual land is already on sale. Yes, I'm talking about places in New York and other places in America that are already up for sale in the Metaverse, where you can buy an actual land in the Metaverse which has a physical address attached to it.
So let's look up CBS broadcasts.
And he sells it for the equivalent of $3,000.
They better move fast because it seems like prices are going up.
In a scenario when the businesses are forced to move into Metaverse and you realize your physical office has a Metaverse address, which is apparently being purchased by Johnny Bravo for £30, and they want £50,000 for you to buy that land off them, how are you gonna control that? Who do you talk to as a criminal thing that they might be doing? Now, the third problem is probably, which we see every day but we ignore, like the negative comments or the trolls of the internet, as I like to call them. They're going to be there, but they're going to be there in our faces in the metaverse. If it's anything like what Mark Zuckerberg showed or what it's on Ready Player One, we would be surrounded by trolls and we would not be able to escape it. Like right now, unless they know your mobile number or your email address, there is no way for a troll to really reach you unless you kind of expose yourself digitally somewhere. But in the metaverse, they would be walking around right next to a troll and you would not even know it because they've changed their skin from what they were yesterday and they're back having a conversation again, but after they've changed their name and the voice. So I definitely do not know how do we control that problem because that's going to explode on the metaverse. Talking about things that we cannot control are like young adults of the world who are our next generation. The young adults in the metaverse, at the moment, you're watching this video because YouTube makes sure it has scanned every part of this video to make sure it is safe for kids to consume. But who's going to do that for kids on the metaverse? Would parents be able to put parental lock on metaverse access, or would they be able to go into metaverse and say, hey, these areas are considered safe for kids, these areas are not considered safe for kids? Like, hey, this is the kindergarten or this is your kids park, totally safe, but this seems to be really bad land because there's a lot of shooting and other things going on. I don't want my kids going over there. Can they make that choice? Don't know. Maybe they can, maybe they cannot. Next one that I want to talk about is something which you may already be familiar with. If you know Darknet, which is the underground or underbelly of the internet, as you all know, there's going to be something similar in the metaverse as well. And for all you know, considering cryptocurrency has already been used for a lot of criminal activity, for them to have untraceable currency, it may already be a king in metaverse and you would not even know. So how do you avoid, going back to what I was talking as a business, every transaction that you do with cryptocurrency, you don't know who you're supporting on the metaverse by transferring those cryptocurrencies across the board. You may be supporting human trafficking, even though your ethics are in question. You just unknowingly may be supporting a terrorist organization unless someone shows you some form of governance around it. And talking about governance, the last problem that I want to talk about is lack of government in the metaverse. Not that I need more government in my life or anyone needs more government in their life, but what it does, it at least is it gives a structure to, hey, if you have a problem, go talk to the police. If you have a medical emergency, go to the hospital. If you are feeling psychologically affected by the experience you've had in the metaverse, go talk to the psychologist and get some help. There is nothing like that at the moment. That's going to be a problem for the future Ashish and future you as well. But I do want to say it's not all negative. I did highlight some of the good points as well, that hey, you can have newer businesses, newer kinds of jobs. I grew up in a time when gaming was not considered a real job, but today you could make so much money just being a gamer online, live streaming on how amazing you are in a particular game. So maybe metaverse would also bring those kind of things as well. But as it stands at the moment, these are some of the problems that I identify. And if you also see some of these and maybe some more, I would love to hear from you what you think are the problems with the metaverse that people haven't spoken about in the comment section. If you enjoy what I created here, I would love for you to like the video so I know that you're enjoying this and I can create more videos like this. Otherwise, I create a video on a weekly schedule for my podcast, Cloud Security Podcast, which is a cybersecurity podcast. I also help other people get into cybersecurity. So if that's something I would love for you to subscribe and maybe watch some of the other videos on that channel as well. But until then, stay safe and maybe I'll see you in the metaverse. Peace.